down during summer races. It's hard to avoid it. Well, that's not how we're going to that. No, let's try it again. Yeah, man, we sold that too. We're crushing that. It looks like we got the 69 of Dave Sanborn, Sparky MacGyver up on top of him. The 4 car also turned around backwards there. That's going to be Craig Hiroff with we got the 6 and 6 also pointing in the wrong direction. Stephen Dupley, the 12 in the grass. We got race cars all over the place. Anybody want anything for sale? I think we just had a yard sale down on the front stretch, like Ken said. And this might be a good thing. Yeah, clean up on aisle 4 there. They're going to take a little bit to separate a couple cars and see if we get anybody that's able to continue with this one. A couple of them just spun into the grass avoiding it, but again, mid-pack is where that one started as they got underway. The big one there is the 69 and the nice. Yeah, they call it not nice branch. Right, not nice now. Yeah. The 22 is Sparky MacGyver up on top there, so they'll need to carefully lift that car up off of the 69 to get him out of there. Absolutely, and yeah, we were talking about it through kind of pre-race there, if you will, if you want to call it that. Again, these are all hand-built pieces of artwork, really. These race cars here that they bring out to the racetrack, and some of them we're talking close to probably $100,000. Ken. I mean, these are not entry-level division race cars, if you will, and I think a front wing alone, between manpower and materials and all that stuff, you can have an excess of $500 just on a front wing there that can be crushed just as easily as that. Not to mention all the engine components and third bars and things like that that are going to get tangled up in a mess like that. There's a lot that goes into these, and it's certainly not how we wanted to kick off Friday Night SmackDown here at Lee. Yeah, as I've heard Bobby mention a few times, you can't just run down to the super modified store. No, there's not a lot of things you can buy off a shelf or off a rack. And a lot of it literally are made in metal lathes and shears and all that stuff, and they're all handmade. They're literally pieces of artwork that we send at 100 miles an hour into a wall sometimes. That just says how crazy they are. And I guess now would be a good opportunity too. You hear about big blocks, super modified versus small block. Maybe you could get to know a little bit of the difference between the two cars. Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's obviously a great lineage of super modified racing here at Lee USA Speedway, and like you said, down the street at Star Speedway, Bobby Weber does a great job with what they do just down the road here. So the big blocks are basically these, but on steroids, if you will. They're just a bigger, nastier, angrier version of these. A lot of them run in excess of 1,000 horsepower, where they have a lot of them are alcohol, mechanically fuel injected, big, huge tires on them. There are some of them running, anywhere between probably 6 to 8 inches of stagger in the rear, depending on your setups and things like that. They look gnarly. They're crazy looking, and the people that drive them are also crazy. You have the International Super Modified Association, the ISMA Tour, obviously. You have the likes of the New England Super Modified Series as well, too, trying to revamp those style race cars. And it's always good to see those guys because they'll go so fast, they leave a vapor trail off the back of them. They compress the air that much going down the straightaways, especially here at Lee. If you hang out with us on the Ollie Silver Classic night, you'll see those fire-breathing monsters here at the high banks of Lee USA Speedway. And these 350, we call them crate super modified. They got a little bit of a dialed back engine program on them. The cars themselves are a little bit smaller, the tires are smaller, but doesn't mean that they put on any less of a show or they have any less of driving ability or talent by any means. These are all professionals in their own right of this series, and they all have a lot of driving accolades between all the drivers themselves as well. Yeah, still continuing to work on that 22 of Sparky MacGyver's. Common thing you'll see in modified racing is here with the super modifieds as well. He's going to double hook this one to pull it off that number 69, and they've got that underway now. Going to try to push that car back away and set that 22 car back down. Yeah, and one thing you'll notice too, folks, if you're not super familiar with the super modifieds as well, you'll see the engine actually hanging off the left side of the entire chassis there. They're running in excess of 70% left side weight to help them get around these corners here. So they're literally sitting next to a V8 engine hanging off right to their left side of their legs, and their hands there. So you might not want to pick that all the way up off the ground, as it might want to just flip over on you, but at least we can double hook it enough to get it off of the 69 machine to Dave Sanborn, and hopefully we get everybody pulling in the right direction here relatively soon, so we can keep firing off the rest of our program here for Friday Night SmackDown. As we've done good so far. I think we brought them off a bunch of heat races, and we had a heck of a battle there in our Super Street division. Shout out to those guys for putting on a show here. And again, we cannot express it enough how much we truly appreciate everybody that has come out to help fill the stands here at Lee USA Speedway. Everybody down at the bar, everybody in the Daytona grandstands, and everybody that might even just be in the pits right now, like hanging out in the trailer or hanging out with their car that might have just got off the racetrack or still getting ready to go out on the racetrack. We appreciate every single one of you for, again, I say it all the time, but it's your hard-earned money. You're spending your hard-earned dollars, your hard-earned off time to come share a Friday night with us, and it truly does mean the world to us, because without you folks, we wouldn't have a place to race. Without a place to race, race cars don't exist. And if race cars don't exist, I'm not a very happy dude. So it all stacks up just like that. And unfortunately, that was a tough start to our 350 Smac 4 race, but we're going to get these guys squared away and hopefully fire right back on.
It's good to see the smiling faces here today, too. This, I won't lie, this May has been unprecedented when it comes to...
Absolutely.
I can say it hasn't been happy times up the coast where I am either. It's been a struggle for all the tracks here in the Northeast, so finding it's good to have a nice night here where we get together and enjoy some racing.
And for those that might be new to the world of motorsports, we've obviously touched on it quite a bit. You are the general manager and the voice of Wisconsin Speedway, so if this is maybe someone's first time at a racetrack, or they're maybe more familiar with the happenings at Lee USA Speedway, if they wanted to take about a 2-hour poke up north, what are some of the differences and cool things that they can see up in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's the track is actually the same size. We're happy to boast that Wisconsin is Maine's fastest track, same size as Lee, but not quite as bigger corners, so to speak, shorter straightaways, and the banking is quite similar. So we run a lot of the same divisions, everything from pro stocks down to four-bangers, as we call them, and some modifieds. Actually, we just started a new 207 crate modified class. First time there's been tour-type modified racing in Maine on a weekly basis.
was one of those deals where they had bought tires, they had everything going, the road racing in Wisconsin, guys got rained out. Owner of the car called up Rusty and said, hey, when are we going to leave? We already have all the stuff. And Rusty says, well, what do I got to do? Just show up. So, well, what's it going to cost me? There's no bad drivers out there. Keep it all.
not able to mount much of a challenge. Between Stevie and Timmons. Stevie holds him off for that third and final spot in victory lane. Again, we want to thank John Burke and his whole crew from the Super Modified Atlantic Charter, the 350 Smac Super Modifieds. And with that, let's head trackside. Charlie Sanborn's got your top three.
Well, thank you, Ken, and there you had it, folks. That was the main event of the evening, but we are still not done yet. We still have a couple divisions on tap for you here. But how about that? The reason it's called Friday Night SmackDown. How about those Smac Tour drivers, folks? Come on. We had a couple of main invaders come down here to New Hampshire Center of Speed, and coming out of the car, getting on top of the wing is going to be Wyndham Baines, the number 19 of Ben Tinker. He's got to take the helmet off. And this is a guy who has one of the biggest smiles you'll ever see. I'm sure it's even bigger here tonight. As he's going to take home the checkered flag here. Ben, let's get you around to the pretty side. Where'd you go? Let's get you around over here on the camera where everybody wants to see you. Oh, we got a carpet and everything. That's fancy. You look great, pal. You look great. So here's the winner of the 350 Smac Tour race here at Lee Usa Speedway, the number 19 of Ben Tinker.
Thank you very much. Man, if I screw this up, I'm going to feel real bad, but VP Race Fuels, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and American Race Tires, John Burke, Smac, man, I didn't expect to win this race tonight. We didn't have a great time trial effort. I screwed both ends of the racetrack up on both laps. Scott Watts was so darn fast that I honestly thought he was the guy to beat. I was very nervous about the 9 on the pole start, and I knew we had to get by him to have any sort of a good race tonight. And man, it just worked in our favor. As always, I got to thank Brian Sullivan for all he's ever done for me. Kevin Langlois back in the pits, man, he tunes this thing, and she was making some pony tonight. I'm telling you, it was getting down the straightaway, but thing was getting through the corner too. So, man, I thank everybody that helps us, and thank Lee USA Speedway for having us.
So we talked about it throughout the whole broadcast. You've won in just about anything that you've driven. You've raced super late models, you race limited sports series, whatever you want to call them. You're a multi-time winner and champion of the Pro All-Star Series Modifieds. You've won in a super modified, but what does it mean to win here tonight on SmackDown?
It means, it's just, like I said, I did not expect to win this race tonight. We wanted to just, hang on and have a solid night and have a top 3 after what I saw after time trials, but man, it means the world to me. Every single win is very, very special to me. Man, you just don't know when the next one's coming. It could come next week, it could come next year, but you're right, I have won and everything, and I'm trying my darndest to get better and better in those super late model, those, as my wife calls them, those fendered cars with transmissions, but maybe we can win one of them.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I've only raced the super late model 3 times, and it made me one of the most unhappy people on the entire planet. So there's your winner, the number 19 of Ben Tinker, as we're now going to head on over to second place, which was you. You got me all screwed up. Another Wyndham main driver here, the only number 41 of Brad Babb. How'd that go for you?
Pretty good. I thought at the end we were on a skating rink and not on a racetrack, but I was completely out of grip at the end. Just kind of burned the tires out trying to catch him, but I was behind the 8 ball and had to really dig to get there. But just want to thank my whole crew, my sponsors, Main Auto Connection, Kaminsky Automotive, Robert Babb Logging. I want to thank VP Race Fuel for helping the series out this year. Thanks to everyone with the Speedway for having us, and thanks to the fans for coming out.
So just like Ben, you're another guy. You're from the same exact town. You've won in pretty much everything you've raced. You're multi-time champion of multiple different types of race cars, but you found kind of a home here in the super modifieds. What is it that you like about these things?
I like the creativity that you can get away with. The rules are pretty open, so you can try a lot of different stuff, and there's a lot of speed to be found if you want to be creative.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's your second place driver, Bradley Babb. As we're now going to round out the rest of our top 3 here. A round of applause for the number 91 of Matt Seavey. How was that?
That was great. It's been a long time since I've been here. The last time I was here, I ended up having a car on top of me, so it was a pretty good finish tonight. Good morning.
So obviously this is better than that happening, right? So I assume you didn't do this all by yourself, so who do you have to thank here tonight?
I gotta thank the guys that helped me out. Car owner Rodney, my friend, excuse me. My friend Ricky, he owns the motor, he owns the trailer. We all work together and we'll put all our funds together and put this thing together.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's your top three for your Southern Modified Atlantic Charter 350 Super Modified Division here for Friday Night SmackDown, as I now send it back up to my good buddy Ken Minot.
All right, thank you very much, Charlie Sanborn, and congrats once again, folks. Give it up for the top three in tonight's 350 SmackDown race.